Welcome into the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Use code DNVR to sign up for a new account to get amazing odds just every single day. Rudo and Blais coming to you live probably really like an hour before Avs versus Blues because it is
How excited
national.
are we for this game? Let's go.
Oh, jeez. Look, good news for the Avs. Devon Toews back in the lineup. Obviously, that's a big deal. Their record with him versus without him is like ridiculously contrasted. So
Yes.
you get to see essentially full strength Avalanche defense tonight, depending on how you feel about Ryan Murray in that sixth spot.
I would like to see Ryan Murray back.
I think there's a real conversation that maybe he's the guy in that sixth spot. And you said both the Johnsons. I'm sure it's one we'll have as we get into the playoffs. But given the last four games, you certainly want to see the defense be better with Toews in the lineup. We'll put it that way.
Absolutely. I mean, they haven't played very well. They haven't executed very well. So that's the real issue here.
Yeah, no arguments to that.
I mean, what are we going to talk about? We've kind of dove into how bad the defense has been lately. So
it's just Toews' side of it, right? You're going to see guys slot back down into where they should be in the lineup. A little bit, I don't want to say sheltered because I don't really think it's sheltering those guys. It's just playing at the level they're supposed to be playing.
Well, playing
at.
against the right matchups, right?
Yeah.
Like you should be playing against the guys that you should be going against on a normal night-to-night basis, not being, asked to do a lot more against
Jack Johnson, go take Connor
people.
McDavid.
Yeah,
Good luck, bud.
Just doesn't work out well.
For sure. So we'll see. Yeah, I as Billy is saying in chat here, I'm sure we've seen Bednar say, here's two defensemen, go. I'm sure that will continue to happen to a certain extent tonight, but
do you think with only 3 games left, do you think that they start to shore up what they can shore up as these are going to be the lineups that we're going to start with into the playoffs?
I would hope tonight and the game against Nashville that I think you'll really see the Avs kind of lock things up a little bit, and then the Minnesota game's going to be whatever.
Full men's leagues, send, go.
Not thinking about that game too much, but I do think you should see a little bit of solidification there certainly on the defensive side, since it is the starting 6.
Yep.
Offense is still without Landy and Mikko, so that's going to be a rodeo. We'll see. but it's where do you put expectations at for tonight? Because you want to see them play better, but do you really want to see them go full bore? Do you want them to dominate this hockey game, or is it just, look like a competitive hockey team?
I guess a little of both columns, right? Like, it's hard to do, though, because you're playing the Blues, which is the best team in the NHL right now as far as point streaks.
They have, like, one loss in their last 18 games or something ridiculous.
And they have this tendency to be like the Avs, too, where they like to get choked a little bit and then come back in games. So, or sometimes they're doing the choking and then let up too much. So, I don't know what to tell you here.
Could go either way.
But, I would hope with only 3 games left that you're going to start to see a more focused Avalanche team, especially now that the media's caught wind. Fans are starting to get a little bit concerned. You're even seeing it in local news, which doesn't really highlight the Avalanche a lot. They were making 9 News on my way out the door today, talking about this is, they haven't lost 4 games in a row since, what was it?
2018.
Yeah. So big deal kind of being made of it. So it'd be nice for them to kind of come back out, show them what dominance looks like in this team when they are focused and, more engaged on winning a game.
I think to assuage the fears, it just takes one game, right?
Sure.
If they come out and they crush this game, no one's going to think about the Nashville game, the Minnesota game. Everyone's just going to go, all right, they still got it in the bag. It's fine.
Yeah, I think the other thing, too, though, is like these are 2 teams that you could be possibly playing, right? So you kind of want to show that, hey, we're still the top dog. And with the Blues just being so hot lately, like you really want to, show them that you guys are still the guys to beat in this division.
Fair enough. I don't have any argument there. A little message to a potential second round opponent.
Yep.
I could definitely see that. I just don't know the thing is with games like this, you'll know in the first 10 minutes of the game. You'll know, oh, the Avs showed up tonight, or oh, they didn't. They didn't show up. Okay, so it'll be a pretty quick read on that front from their side. Regardless of how the Avs play, though, the most important game of the night for the Western Conference
absolutely
is Vegas-Dallas, which is going on right now. It is 0-0 towards the end of the first period at the moment. So if Dallas wins in reg, Vegas is done. Yep. Full stop. It's over. Any other output, and Dallas still favored to win the playoff spot, but it's a lot closer of a race. So I think most people are probably on Team Dallas right now. Blais, are you in that same boat? Do you want to see Dallas end it?
I mean, whoever comes out of that, like whoever is that A seed, bring it on. Like that's how the Avs have to approach it as well. I think we've talked about this. Like you need to slay those demons of the past where you've been bumped by both of these teams in recent year in the second round. You want to show that we're a different team this year.
Yep. It's on a whole different and really.
Now, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Now, if I'm looking at it from like the universe standpoint, definitely want Dallas to win.
Okay, just checking. One way or another, it's a bit of a demon for the Avs. Most likely to be Dallas or Vegas, which are two teams that eliminated them in the second round. But even then, it's not going to be LA at this point. They're extremely likely to get the third seed in the Pacific. So the other team that could possibly fall into that spot would be Nashville, who not quite the same, but did eliminate them in the first round, their first year back in the playoffs. So,
and that was the year that was almost a fluke that maybe they shouldn't have been in the playoffs that year.
Maybe, but
they got
still.
There.
If you're looking for a motivator, that's the type of stuff that players can get motivated on. So
yeah, I went to game 1 that year against Nashville. It was awesome.
I
bet. They came back and won it. So
it's always if you have the chance to go to playoff hockey, go to it.
Nothing.
Full stop. Yeah. You got to go if you've never been. Easy enough on that front. I'm curious. I know your hockey brain says Dallas because Vegas doesn't deserve it. I know you say you don't care. The Avs got to slay the demon either way. But which team do you think the Avs match up better against?
That's a hard one. I'm like, if you look at their record, they did not do well against the Stars this year. I mean, they did beat them once, and then they lost
to Joe Pavelski twice.
That's right. So, like, matchup-wise, well, who knows with Vegas who's going to be on that team when the playoffs start.
Yeah.
If you get all these guys back, those matchups could be hard too. So I'm going to give you a non-answer and say both of these teams are hard.
Soft, Blais.
How about you?
Oh, Dallas is the easier team.
You think so?
I think by a significant margin.
Are you just saying like depth with players?
Yeah. Assuming Vegas gets even a couple of guys back to relative health, I think Dallas is the easier team to take. Granted, particularly without Robin Leonard now, Vegas could be a little exposed in goal. So,
did you see Peter DeBoer's presser on it as well?
I saw it with Berube.
Yeah.
0 from another NHL head coach. He says there's zero worry about the Avs having lost these 4 games in a row. I would take against any team in the West. I would take Avs in 5 in round 1, basically.
Wow. All right.
Don't think it matters one way or another. But if Dallas wins tonight, at least we can clear up and narrow down who it's likely to be that the Avs are facing. So
yeah, I just think with all the shenanigans, everyone, like almost everybody in the hockey world just wants Vegas to lose now.
Yeah, I genuinely, if you're not a Vegas Golden Knights fan, I think you're actively rooting against them at this point, as Vegas did just score. So
bummer.
Good time to get it on Blais's bet, which we'll get to in a second.
One bet.
Yeah. The other side of this conversation for the Avs, and I do want to tie it back into the forward core in particular. Whatever the outcome of these games, the Avs are using them at least to some extent for playoff preparation, right?
Yep.
And so my question is what are they doing specifically to prep for the playoffs, especially because no Landy, he looks like probably won't be ready till game 1, and Mikko might be back on
Thursday.
Yeah. He's not back tonight. He's out for tonight.
Bednar said he is alive. That was
what a quote. That we should make a quote graphic of that for sure. Jared Bednar, he is alive on Nico Rankin. So you're a forward core. You're likely playing in a spot that you're not going to be in the playoffs. What are you looking for those guys to act like it's the playoffs through these games?
Well, yeah, and this is kind of hard too. Like when you're missing bodies, you don't get to get the lineups that you want on the ice to get that, the gel, the cohesiveness that you want to see from each line. That's kind of out the window because you're moving guys up, so that just kind of mixes that up. So what you're looking at is individual effort. Those guys that are being moved up the lineup, they get to play against higher caliber players these last 3 games, which might give them a little help. It's almost like when you're warming up in hockey. Have you ever heard of a penny stick?
Can't say that I have.
Penny stick is your warm-up stick. You'll take it and you'll put just pennies and glue and pennies in there and make a weighted stick.
So it's like a weighted bat.
So it's basically like you can work on your stick handling and stuff, obviously loosen up the hand. So it's one of those things where if you're playing against a higher caliber person, maybe, you have to work just a little bit harder and that gets you ready for the playoffs. But as far as gelling as lines, that's just not going to happen.
Yeah. You're not going to get the chemistry for sure.
Yeah.
So I do wonder, you kind of alluded to them playing against tougher competition. Do you think that can be a benefit, or do you think...
Oh, from a player versus player?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that can help out because you just have to elevate your game when you're going against somebody. Now, if you can take that and then translate that into the playoffs when you're back into your normal position...
Can play the same way against weaker stuff, for sure. So the flip side there, defense is as back together as you can reasonably expect.
Yeah.
Is it all is these at least these next 2 games? Again, we're throwing out the Minnesota game. Is it all about chemistry for your defense then? Is it all about those guys finding the rhythm again?
Yep, it's about gelling, getting ready for those playoffs. You want them to be competitive. The last thing you want to see is somebody go down from a stupid injury on a block shot. Something stupid like we saw last game with Kale. That was scary. You don't want to see stuff like that.
It's definitely never, especially given a team like the Avs who have seen so many injuries this year. Every play you're like, maybe don't. And then, they've been okay. It's been fine.
Well, knock on wood that, that injury bug is over.
You hope so. And give some of that. Look, never wish for anyone to get injured, but it feels like Calgary's the due team for a couple of injuries, doesn't it? That team's been unbelievably healthy on that side. So it's a weird spot, right? Because you want to see the Avs win hockey games. Momentum doesn't mean nothing.
Yep.
100% agree with that. But at the same time, none of these games are going to be played at the pace of a proper playoff game.
Yeah.
There's just no replacement for something like that. It's a different atmosphere. So, look, most of the Avs are relatively experienced in the playoffs. Most of these guys do more or less know what to expect. But what are you telling to someone like a Bowen Byram, who's been around the team? He's been with them for a playoff run, but he's never stepped onto the ice for an NHL playoff game. How are you helping that guy right now?
I don't know. That is a great question. I mean, seriously, at this point, there's nothing that really can prepare you for it because the game changes so drastically, and you're not in a race right now like you were, last year or the year where you're just trying to get in. So every game counts because those last games then become like the playoffs. It's like you get to start to have an understanding of how the intensity ramps up, how the physicality ramps up. That stuff's just not happening right now. And it's like, it's awesome. It's a blessing and a curse at the same time, right? Because you are allowed to sit players like you're seeing the Avalanche do, but you're just not getting that game readiness like
you're
what
not
we're
even
talking
close
about.
to that energy level. Sure.
So can the Avs turn it back on? We've seen them do it this year. Now can they do it in a playoff game when it matters right off the bat?
And I think that's the hard part of where the Avalanche sit right now. Doesn't matter which side of the argument you're on. These games don't matter, or the Avs look terrible and it's not good.
Yeah.
Either side, we won't have the real answer until game 1 of the playoffs.
Yep.
And then whichever side is right can be gloating all they want, and the other side will look dumb. And you just have to wait and see on that.
But the problem there is everyone's an Avs fan, so it's like
you're all rooting for the same thing.
You want wins,
yeah,
right?
True enough. True enough.
You want your team to be successful, unless you're not a real Avs fan.
Yeah, that's definitely true. On Byram and those guys, there's a phrase my dad used to tell me, especially with young kids in the league, who he would say, sometimes they're too young and dumb to know the difference, and they don't realize, especially Byram, he's played for the Avs his whole NHL career. They've never missed the playoffs in that time. Sometimes you just don't understand how rare these opportunities are, so you don't worry too much about it, and that can be a really good thing.
Sure.
Because you're not gripping the stick too hard, things like that. I do wonder where the Avs lie on that, because you do have the core of this team who they've lost in the third round 3 years in a row now.
Yep.
I wonder if there is a little bit of a stress level there.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of pressure around the team. I mean, obviously, the narrative, right? You hear it all the time. Anytime you talk about the Avs being great, is like, yeah, let's see if they can get out of the second round before we start talking about how good this team is. They're having a historic year this year. They've won more games than they ever have. Ever. And there is still that doubt around. So the expectations of this team is cup or bust. I mean, I don't think people are going to be happy unless they win the cup.
We'll have this conversation 45 times over the next month, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
But, I think anything less than conference finals is certainly disappointment for the fan base. Barring catastrophic injury or whatever effect on stuff. So definitely not a...
Well, and if this team's healthy and gets healthy, there's no excuses then either, right? Like
anything less than
goalie
that's
issues,
disaster, right? Yeah, exactly. So it will be interesting to see how that develops. Obviously, hope for the best.
Yep.
A certain level of preparing for the worst, or are we all in?
I mean, I'm all in with money and everything.
True enough. We all pumped up Kale for Norris on yesterday's show, so we're trying to get you those dollars. We're trying our best. Tonight, getting y'all dollars, Blais is keeping it simple.
One bet. It's not good right now.
There you go. No, that just means you get better odds, all right?
Yeah.
That's all.
That's true. Fade
the Knights. Get them eliminated. Tonight's the night. Get that flare faded. That's what we want to see. We usually try and make you money, but tonight, betting with the heart, all right? Betting with what everyone wants to see, because the Vegas Knights suck. I'm here for it.
Yep.
Absolutely all about this bet. I'm going to go bet my new mortgage on it.
Stop doing that. I'm really scared for your life.
We didn't actually have the mortgage until today.
That's even fucking scary.
But
you know what, the mortgage is not a good fucking
anyway, I'm looking forward to an entertaining game.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to put tonight. I don't know where to expect the Avs, but I would hope that there's at least a bit more of an effort level than we've seen over the last handful of games.
Yeah, they got to start getting focused and ready for the playoffs.
So hopefully that's what we see tonight. This game is going to go till the middle of the night, because the rest of this Edmonton-Pittsburgh game is still...
Oh, my goodness, yeah. Where are they at right now?
There won't be a posting today. We'll just tweet about it tomorrow.
There's still 9 minutes left in the third.
Yeah, at least it looks like it's probably not going to overtime. So...
No. Oilers are taking it.
Yeah, at least we got that going for us. Yeah. So we're going to let y'all go get prepared for the next 20 minutes before this puck drop starts. And then you know where to find us post-game. Megan will be joining us for the post-game, so come see what she has to say. We'll make her do the 60-second rundown again, since she's so much better at it than we are. Yeah, until then, I'm just going to watch I guess it's intermission for Vegas-Dallas right now.
It is.
Whenever they come back on, I'll watch that until puck drop. But we're out of here. We appreciate all of y'all. Like, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and we will talk to you after the game.